I'm trying to record. Okay, that's nice. Okay, the record is working. So thank you guys for joining. Once again, my name is God bless Ijo. I know on the Slack channel I've really not, dropped a text before, but some of us might have been privileged to chat with me on the Slack channel, maybe via DM, or you might be privileged to know me elsewhere before now also. So, like I said, my name is God bless Ejo, and my username on any of the social media handle is Ejo G Freeman. So maybe you can, via Instagram, Twitter, and all of those stuff. So that's me. So I have some nicknames. Some people call me God GB, some call me Freeman, and so on and so forth. So okay, I'm seeing some comments. Some said I'm new and all of those stuff. Okay, I don't have any previous experience. Wow. Okay, don't worry. I will try to keep the class. I'll try to make sure the class is beginner friendly, whether you have no prior knowledge or not. So let's just continue. So, like I said, this is programming concept backend. Now we all know that we might have heard of websites before. Okay, God bless, please. I'm novice expert. Okay, okay, except you are. Okay, don't worry. Let me just start from my. Let me just start. Now we all know that web development as a whole is all about creating websites and maintaining it and all of this stuff, right? Now you notice that if you go to a website, let's say you go to xyz.com or something.com and all of those stuff, it will take you to a particular website. You see an interface. You can be able to interact with the interface. Maybe click on a button or perform an action or watch a video from a website or do any of all of this stuff. Yeah, now it is important to know that there are two things powering a website, two major things. One of them is the front end, or we can as well say web development is majorly divided into two, which is front end and back end, majorly. You get so that's for that. We all know that the other aspect to it, like deployment and all this stuff, but majorly it is majorly divided into front end and back end, right? So some of us might have experience with front end. Now, let me just give the clear difference between the front end and the back end. Front end is that part of the website you see and interact with. I don't know if you are following. Like if I go to facebook.com, that interface I'm seeing, that's the front end. You get so with the front end, I can be able to click on the button, do any of all my performance and all of this stuff. We get why back end is the part of the website that you don't see and interact with. So when we talk about backend, we're talking about that part of the website that is not visible to the user, but it is the main logic of the website, right? Please hope we are following. So front end is the part you see and interact with. Back end is the part you can't see but you will interact with it. So let me just put it that way. So I'll go over the who is Timothy? Please, you guys should mute your mic so that others can hear me. Please, you guys should mute your mic so that others can hear me. Mute your mic, please. Begging. So I don't know if you guys saw this stuff. Let me post it here on this chat. So this is the course outline I'm supposed to follow for this course, right? So this is what I'm supposed to follow. This is what I'm supposed to use in teaching you this course. So if you have it or if you've gotten it already, you can as well open it and follow along as I teach. Now let me open it as well. And before I do that, also let me share my screen so that you can interact. Okay, entire window. All right, share. So I believe you guys can see my screen now. Now, if I come to, sorry, that's not what I'm looking for. If I come to this is what we have the lecture outline, introduction to backend development. So we'll go over the definition of backend development. We'll look at the importance of backend in a website slash app development. Then we'll look at backend terminologies. Then after that, we'll go over to the understanding backend development. So what is the understanding behind a backend development? So we look at the role and functionality of a backend engineer and also backend itself as well. Then we look at the key technologies and languages used for backend, right? So we know that there are different programming languages, but some are used for web development, some are used for web, but not full stack development. Some are server side languages, some are front-end languages and all of those stuff. So we'll be able to know the difference by the end of this class. Then after that, we'll look at the difference between front-end and back-end, right? Then we'll go over to definition and distinction between front-end and back. Okay, between front-end and back-end. After that, we'll look at front-end development. We'll explain it. What's the meaning of user interface and user experience? So we'll talk about that. Then we'll look at the backend development. We look at server-side logic and database management. And after that, we go over real-world examples and backend functionality. So look at things like user authentication and authorization, then database, data storage and retrieval, content management system. Then I'll explain online shopping cart functionality and user management and profile settings as well. Then we'll look at these backend terminologies. Okay, let me just get through. You guys have it already, so let's just dive into the lecture. Let's know waste time. So before I continue, is there any question? If you have a question to ask, please do before I continue. If you have a question, please ask before I continue. Do you have any question? Is there any question? Please say something so that we know we're following. Okay.
No
Please, I hope
question. Please
everybody knows.
continue.
We're going to cover all of them, honestly. But how will I put it? In the course of explaining some of them, you already know what I'm about to explain on the other one. So it will be easy. Don't worry. I assure you it will be easy. So is there any other question again? I'm also
Yes,
okay. Who is asking question?
bet you.
Okay, I'm listening.
Does you I saw Python on the slide you just showed now. Does the
Yes.
course include Python?
No, that's just an example of a server-side language. You get.
Oh,
So when
okay.
I'm
All right.
differentiating between front end and back end, then browser side, client side, and server side, I will give Python as an example. And other languages that I didn't include on my slide. So any other question again? Okay, I guess there's none for now. And you guys were able to see the slide, right? So that's what I wanted to confirm. So let's start. Now, what is backend development? Now, simply put, backend development refers to server side, right? So let me put it that way. When we say server side, what do we mean? Mean backend development refers to server side of web development that talks about the logic, database, and functionalities of websites. You get. Now, during the course of this class, you are not expected to write anything also, because these definitions you will see them online. You get. These are just explanation. I want you guys to understand it and get the concept. You get. So when we talk about backend development, we're talking about server side programming, right? Unlike front end development that deals with client side programming. I know you might have heard the word before, server side and client side. What's the difference between these two words? When we say server side, what do we mean? When we say client side, what do we mean? What is another word that can be used for client side? So let me just explain them now. When we say client side, we're talking about front end development, right? And another name for client side, we can say something like browser side as well, or front end development. Then now when we say back-end development, that's when we use the word server-side development, right? Or server-side programming. Now, what does this do? It's the aspect of the web development that we don't see, but it runs the main logic of whatever we are doing. Now, what are the main logic? When you go to a website, you are concerned with the user interface. When we say user interface, how beautiful is that website? Then the front-end functionalities and interactivity. What do I mean by interactivity? Some of us have gone to some website. You will see dark mode, light mode, pink mode, and so on and so forth. Remember the time that WhatsApp dark mode actually started. You know, some of us were dying to get that functionalities on our website. We had to uninstall and reinstall again, things like that. So those are client side things, front end things. You get. So those beauty of your website that would enable a user to come to your website and would want to spend much time on the website and the rest of them. Those are front end, or you can call them client side or browser side. You get. Then for the logic of the website, the part that deals with the main logic, the database, and all other functionalities of the website that will make the site up and running. Those are what we call server side or backend development. Now please take note of that. So that's for that. Then now, what do we need to know in order for us to do backend development? Come in. Okay, let me just split my screen. Now, when we are talking about backend development, let's look at the importance of backend development in the website. Like I said, it's what deals with the storage, functionalities, and all of those stuff. So, what are the importance now? Now, the first importance of a backend development is functionality. Now, what do I mean by functionality? Let's imagine that you go to Facebook, for instance, today and create an account. Then, after creating the account, you maybe save your password and all of those stuff. Then, the next time you are coming to Facebook again, Facebook would not remember your credentials, your password and username, and all of those stuff. And it's telling you to create an account again. Will you be happy with that scenario? Let me see. Will you be happy? Okay, let me say, okay, fine. For instance, you create an account
Hmm.
again. Then the next time you are coming, your informations are nowhere to be found again. Then they ask you to create an account continuously. Will you be happy? I don't think any of us here will be happy with those experience, right? So yes, the class is being recorded. After the class, we'll share the record, the video record to you guys. So please take note. So, like I was saying, I don't think any of us will be happy to create an account whenever we go to a particular website or whenever we go to facebook.com or instagram.com, right? So now, the first importance of backend here is functionality. Now, what do you mean by that functionality? Functionality enables um, ability for users to ability for users' information to be saved and such that when else I come, I can be able to get those information. I don't know if you get my point. Maybe I create an account with Facebook, I log into Facebook, the next time I'm coming, it's just for me to use my password and my username. I'll be able to get my informations, right? And another thing added to functionality as well is the database and server-side validation, right? So please take note of this stuff. Then another importance of backend development is data management. Like I said, we want a situation whereby when we share our information with a particular website, when we visit that particular website again, we want to get those informations, right? Without having to, create an account again or do any of all of this stuff again. Okay, so those are some of them. Then something else again on database management. We want to look at security, right? We don't want a situation whereby if I create an account, okay, network issues. Okay, okay, fine. Now we don't want a situation whereby when I create an account, somebody else will just know my password and log in. I don't know if you get my point. We want security and all of those stuff. So please take note. So those are the functionalities that backend is adding, coupled with data management. Then there's another thing again. How many of us have seen this stuff on WhatsApp? When you are using WhatsApp for the first time, they will tell you something like this chat is end-to-end encrypted. I don't know if you've seen something like that on WhatsApp before. This chat is end-to-end encrypted, something like that.
Yeah,
You've seen
yeah.
something like, okay, you guys have seen it, right? Now, what do you mean by chat being encrypted also? It means that your information or the text you are sending to that person, nobody will see it. I don't know if you get my point. Like the text, they are being, should I say, encoded, or they are being transcribed into letters and string and alphabet that will not be understand. Okay, let me use the word. They are being encoded. Okay, Google, that's the right word I want to use. They are being encoded so that your chat with the other user is being secured, right? Now, let me give you an example that will make you laugh. If you've you know those people that normally call themselves Yahoo boys and so on and so forth, you notice that when they create their account and all of those stuff, uh they might send text to people and all of those stuff. If they just keep sending text and chatting with clients and all of those stuff, I don't think their account will be blocked. But the moment you start posting, when Facebook start noticing you, they will know that, oh, this person is a scammer, or Mr. A is a scammer, Mr. B is a scammer. Now, what does that mean? The post you make on Facebook They are not being encrypted. I don't know if you get my point. Because we want a situation whereby each post can be seen by all users, right? So when you make a post, Facebook has the ability to see it. But when you send a text, those texts are being encrypted, so Facebook does not have the ability to see it. So please take note of that. That's what I mean by securing it and all of those stuff. So security there and encrypted text and all of those stuff. Then the time is fast running. Then, like I said security, the performance as well. Now, what do you mean by performance? We don't want a situation whereby whenever we come to a particular website, the server is always down or the server is always bad, things like that. Maybe when I go to Facebook, for instance, Facebook will keep loading for more than hours and all of those stuff. So we don't want things like that. So as a backend developer, you need to make sure your performance is very good, your site performance or your server performance is very good, and all of those stuff. So those are the things that backend brings to the table, right? Then also, as a backend developer, you must be good in maintenance, right? So this also goes with the performance and all of those stuff. Then let's look at what I have next on my stuff. Now, what are backend terminologies? As a backend developer, what are the terminologies you are supposed to be familiar with? Now, I think the first terminology you are supposed to be familiar with is server, right? Because if you're talking about server, and all of those stuff, right? So that's one of them. I will come back to server shortly. Then also, you should be familiar with things like database management system. You should be familiar with API as well. Be familiar with the different kind of database management system, relational database management system, object data mapping system. What again? Let me see if I can remember. You need to be familiar with things like SQL and all of this stuff. Um, so that's for that. Then when we talk about server, okay, also API, you need to be familiar with the term API as well. So let me go over server and API. When we talk about server, what is the server? Now, simply put, a server is like a computer or a software system that provides resources, right? Now, when we say provide resources, what do we mean? Like, it's like an engine that powers something, maybe a website or a mailing system or any of those stuff, right? Now, servers makes it possible such that I can get information from a particular place and use that information whenever I want, or I can get a particular service from something and use it. So that's for that. Now, let me give an example. There are different kinds of servers. We have web servers, we have database servers, file server, application server, email servers, and all of those stuff. Now, I don't know if you've been to the bank before and they start experiencing network issue. The first complaint or the first statement you hear from maybe any of the person from the bank or so on and so forth, they will tell you that the server is down. Server is down. That's what they will just tell you. You get it? So there's a server that is powering whatever they are using to carry out their operation. You get. Then also, like I made mention, I said there's what we call an email server. Now, what is the function of an email server? The function of an email server is that it sends mail, right? It sends and delivers mail to addresses. Let me say, for instance, I want to send mail to 50 people. I can so make use of any of the available email server that's open to me at that point in time, maybe Google Mail server or any of the other ones. So please take note of that. Then, like I said, there's what we call web server. Web server examples of web server include Microsoft Internet Server and Nginx and all of those stuff. As time goes on, we'll be familiar with this stuff and what they do, right? So let's look at APIs. When we talk about APIs, what do we mean by APIs? Now, API is an abbreviation for application programming interface also. So you can check out the full meaning later on also. But let me just explain what it does. API makes it such that multiple applications can connect or interact with the same server. I don't know if you are getting my point. So if you are still here, just say something. Let me know if you are following. Let me know if you are following. After explaining APIs, we are going
Yes,
to
we're
interact for a
fine.
while before continuing the lecture. Okay, just say something or drop a
Yes, we are
text on the.
fine.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, that's nice. So, like I said, API makes it such that multiple applications can connect with different server. Okay, now let me give an illustration. Somebody, Rema said, no, I didn't get the API. Okay, let me give an illustration. We all know Facebook, right? We all know Facebook, isn't it? Now, some of us, we have Facebook Lite. Let me say Facebook Lite, Facebook Messenger, right? We also use Facebook Web, maybe web.facebook.com, right? Some of us are using all of these guys. Like you have your Facebook login or your Facebook Lite application or the main Facebook application. Then maybe it's also logging to Facebook Messenger, Facebook Web, and so on and so forth. Now, what is happening here? All of these things are being made possible because of API, right? Now, how is API making it possible? API is it's just like connecting different applications to the same server such that when I want an information from this application, I will just request for that information through an API and get what I want. I don't know if you are getting my point. So that's the scenario behind this Facebook Lite, Messenger, web.facebook.com, and all of those stuff, making it such that different applications will connect or communicate with the same server. Okay, so do we get it now? Hello, can we hear me? Do we get it now? Okay, that's
Yes,
good.
sir. Yes.
That's good. Okay, so you can read more on API. See, the beauty of web development and all of this is such that you must be the type that is ready to learn, always ready to read, ready to make research and all of those stuff. You get, because I can't really give you 100%. You get, there's no need of cramming and all of this stuff. Just get the understanding behind it, and you are good to go. Then the next on our slide is understanding backend development. Then the role and functionality of a backend, which we've already talked about before, right? We talked about it before. Like I said, some of the topics are the same. You get, so like we said, backend enables functionality, data management, scalability, security, integration, and all of this stuff. So as a backend developer, what are you supposed to know how to do? You are supposed to know how to do all of this stuff, right? Making sure that your informations are secured, right? Know how to build an API, making sure that your server is up and running constantly. So let me just put it that way. Then now, what are the key technologies used for backend development? When we say key technologies, what are the key technologies used? Okay, I didn't talk about. Oh, sorry. Now, database is very easy. Now, what do you want to know about database again? Database is very easy. Now, let me bring it back to old school. Now, when we say database, see, don't be carried away by the grammar or the definition. At one point in your life, you guys have made use of database one way or the other. I don't know if you guys are getting me. If you dab, just say something. At one point in your life, you've made use of database one way or the other. So if you dab me, just say something. Let me prove you wrong, or let me tell you that you've made use of it. Okay, no assumptions, sir. Okay, now let me give you an example of database. Now, if you all of us pass through primary schools, right? We all pass through primary schools. Now, you notice that when a new student comes into an institution, what will happen? The information of that student will be collected. True or false? True. Now, when the information is collected, it will be documented on a book with the proprietors or the principal of the school and so on and so forth, right? Now, that is just all about database. Database is simply taking information of users. I don't know if you get my point. Now, when a student comes to the school, what will happen? We take the name of the student, the what again? The name of the student, the the phone number of the parents also of the student, the age of the student, and all of those stuff. Database simply means collecting information, right? So in a layman term, that is okay. Everyone here is assumed to be new to this. So this okay, so explaining to us as new people is required. Yes, now that's what I'm doing. Like I said, at one point in your life, you've done database, right? Or you've performed an action that requires database and all of those stuff, but you just don't know. So that's why I'm bringing it home. When we talk about database, simply means collecting and storing information. You get, such that those informations can be retrieved and used for future purposes. Let me just put it that way. Like I said, if you pass through primary school, you notice that each time the teacher will come to the class and start calling the names of students of that class to mark their roster or register if they are present or absent, right? Then at the end, based on those information, we can be able to write a remark about the student, if he or she is punctual to school, or the percentage of attendance he or she has gotten, and so on and so forth. So that's all about database. Now, when we talk about database, simply means taking information and storing them so that they can be used later on, right? um while I don't think you were being kicked out, maybe you left unknowingly. So that's all about that. Then let's bring it down to website now. For a website or for web development, when we say database, we simply mean storing information to a server, right? So that's what we mean. You notice that when you go to Facebook or any of these websites, for instance, maybe Facebook, Jumia, and so on and so forth, the first thing you do is to create an account, right? Now, the process of you creating an account, you are submitting your information to the server or to the database via your server or so on and so forth. I don't know how to construct this English. You get? So that's what's happening. Such that when you are coming back, those information will be retrieved, or they can be retrieved based on your password and your username. So please take note of that. Database storing information so that it can be retrieved um in a future time, and so on and so forth. So now, there are different kinds of database. We have tabular database, which is the one we are all comfortable with. Like when you go to something and you see columns like name, email, phone number, address, all of those stuff. These are examples of tabular database. We are creating a table such that each record are being added to a particular column or row, right? So please take note of that. There's also what we call okay, another name for tabular database is also called relational database, right? Now, for a database arrangement, there can be relationship between tables. You get? So please take note of that. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. Let's say, for instance, now, if you go to an e-commerce website, for instance, if you create an account, your information will be stored in a particular table. Maybe that would be a user table. Let me just put it that way. If you create an account, your information will be stored in a user table, right? Okay, thank you very much. I can't pronounce it. So thank you very much. Like I said, when you go to when you go to a website for the first time and you're creating an account, your information will be stored in the user's table, right? Then again, let me say for instance, now you want to order an item. After placing the order, your information will be moved to cart and all of those stuff. Then after processing your order and finalizing everything, that those informations will be moved to your orders table. Now, there's supposed to be a relationship between the users and orders table. Now, why do I say that? Because for every order, there must be a particular user that is placing the order, right? So these are what we'll look at later on during the course of the program. We'll look at the different kind of database and relationship between tables of databases, right? So like I said, there's tabular database. There's also non-tabular databases. Okay, good. Another name for tabular database is also called SQL databases, right? So you hear things like SQL or SQL, both of them are the same thing. And examples are MySQL, PostgreSQL. I don't know if I can spell that. Postgres, then Microsoft SQL, and so on and so forth. So please take note of those. So those are examples of uh, let's go from back in the database. We'll come to that shortly. Just hold on. Come to that shortly. And also, please take note, there are some companies that uses Google for there are some companies that uses spreadsheets for their database, things like Excel, Google spreadsheet, and all of those stuff. Please take note. Okay, for this your question, is Google form a backend database? Okay, you've gotten the answer already. The answer is no. Now, what is happening is that Google form, how will I put it? Let me just put it this way: it's taking your information so that it will be stored in a database. I don't know if you get my point. So that Google form you are seeing is like the front end, such that your information can be stored or sent to a particular database. So let me just put it that way, right? So please take note of that. Take note of that. Then let me talk about this other one, like rules and functionality. Like I said, we've looked at it before. Then what are the key technologies and languages used for backend development? Now, for languages used for backend development, let me just go with this one. The first one I have here is Python. We can use Python for backend development or server-side programming. Now, we all know that Python is a general purpose language. When we say general purpose, it finds application in almost every field: machine learning, data science, data analytics, and all of those stuff, right? But Python can also be used for web development as well. If we maybe make use of one of his framework, maybe Django or Flask and so on and so forth. So please take note of that. So Python is a server-side language. Another server-side language is Go or Golang, right? There's Ruby, there is PHP, right, which is one of my favorite languages for now. There's also JavaScript, right? Now, explain. Okay, spreadsheet as a database. Explain. Okay, Jesus Christ. Just hold on. I'll come back to that. Now, there's also JavaScript, right? Now, let me explain. Now, JavaScript as a language was initially built for front-end development, right, or client-side development, but it can also be used as a server-side language, right? That's to say it can be used for backend development. Now, with the use of a runtime called Node.js, right? You can also find other, sorry, Node.js is spelled like this. You can also find other Node.js framework that is being used for development, things like Express, Nox, and all of this stuff. So please take note of that. Now, you say spreadsheet as a database. Please explain. Now, let me tell you something. Now, like I said, database means collecting data or information for reference purposes, right? Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it must be for a website or not for a website, all of this stuff. You can simply keep record. When you are keeping record, it means you are doing database activities. Let me put it that way. I don't know if you get my point. Now, I think there's what we call Google something as a database. Yes, they can use it as a database, but it's not something I've used, right? It's not something I've used, but I've heard it among developers saying something like that. But take note, database simply means collecting information such that they can be retrieved or used for future purposes. Let me say I want to keep record um of my product or so on and so forth, or maybe price list and so on and so forth. I can save them in a spreadsheet. You get, such that later on, if there's an increase in price, I can go there to increase to edit my price and so on and so forth, take number of records and all of those stuff. So please take note. As time goes on, you get the understanding of what these terms means and when to use one over the other. So please take note. Like I was explaining, I was in server side languages and I gave examples like Python, Go, or also called Golang. I gave an example of Ruby. I give an example of Java is also a server-side language, so please take note. There's also C Sharp, which uses .NET framework and all of this stuff. So please take note of that. Now there's also Rust, but though Rust is a new programming language, and I think it's just gaining popularity and all of this stuff. But let's just add it to the list, so you can maybe make your research on those stuff. So those are the key technologies and languages that are being used for backend development, right? Then now, what about backend development framework? Now, let me give you the difference between a framework and a language itself. Now, we have what we call programming language. Programming language. I can't spell. Then there's also what we call framework of a programming language, right? Now, when we say program, okay, yeah, C++ is a language, mostly for game development and so on and so forth. Now, when we say programming language, what is programming language? Programming language is the native language you know. These ones I just mentioned. You get. Then when we talk about framework, eh, framework makes it such that if we want to build a program, we don't need to stress ourselves. You get, frameworks are built with programming languages such that it will give us a particular structure to follow whenever we're about to build a website or a program, right? So let me give an example. If you take, for instance, like I say Python is a programming language, right? Now, if I want to build a website with Python, it's possible. Pure Python is possible, but it will be very stressful. Like I will be the one to take care of I'll be the one to take care of a lot of things. Daniel Johnson, I'm coming. I'll be the one to take care of a lot of things, do my connectivity and all of those stuff. So it will be time consuming and it's almost like a pain in the ass. You get. But if I'm making use of a framework, let me say Django framework. Now, Django is a framework of Python. Now, if I'm making use of Django, eh, please, if you're lower, can you say something? Let me just let me know if you are with me. Please unmute your mic and say something. If you're lower, please unmute your mic and say something.
Hi, so I'm trying to understand what you are discussing on. Are you still
Oh,
talking about languages on the back end, or I'm
now
trying to
I'm
understand
still
better?
on that languages on that backend, but now I'm talking about framework. You get, so I'm giving the difference between a language itself and its framework. What are the differences? When would you use a language over a framework, or when, like, I want to give the difference between language and framework and different examples of framework. So are you with me now?
Okay, so you're like you are giving difference between programming language and framework.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, like I said, frameworks, they make it easy such they makes it such that whenever I want to build a particular website, it will be easier, right? Because everything has already been created using the particular language of that framework. Like I was explaining, I said Python is a programming language, but it has a framework for web development called Django, right? Now, if I want to build a website with ordinary Python, it will be difficult for me because I'll be the one to handle a lot of things. Things like hashing algorithm, and different things. You get, I'll be the one to do that. But if I'm making use of Django, Django has already given me a lot of things to use. Things like the hashing algorithm of the password, mailing service, and all of those stuff. Even a template that I can use for my front end. I don't know if you get my point. So that's the advantage of using a framework, or that's framework for you. Frameworks are like they give you a structure, a pattern to follow whenever you are building a website with a particular language. Okay, so let's look at different examples of framework. Now, it is important to know that we have front end frameworks. Let me put it there, front end framework, and we also have back end framework. Now, what are examples of front end framework? Example of front end framework now is something like I'm coming. I will get to that. It's Node.js a framework, just as VS Code. VS Code is not a framework. Please take note. VS Code is a text editor. Yeah, I'm coming. Node.js is not also a framework. Node.js is a runtime. I'm coming. Just hold on. Now, for different languages and their framework, like I said, we have front end framework and examples of front end frameworks. Now, these frameworks are JavaScript, hmm? JavaScript frameworks. Frameworks. Yes. Now, examples of these front-end framework are Vue, React, Vue, Angular. I think there's Svelte. I don't know. I can't pronounce it. Svelte, Svelt, something like this. Um, I don't know if I can pronounce it. So these are examples. I think Next is a framework of a framework. Like Next is a framework of React.js. So these are examples of framework for front end. Then for back end, right? Backend framework. For backend frameworks, we have Django. Okay, Vue.js is a framework. TypeScript is not a framework, please. TypeScript is a language. I think it's built by Google. Now, what TypeScript does is that TypeScript is a language that extends more on JavaScript. That's like it's like a superset of JavaScript. You get, it makes your JavaScript code strict. Let me put it that way, such that errors can be handled even before they occur. I don't know if you get my point. So it does things like typecasting and all of those stuff. So as time goes on, you know about it. TypeScript is a language and not a framework, please. And it's a language that is built on JavaScript. So example of backend framework, I have Django, Flask, I have Laravel, hmm? I have Express.js. I think there's Nox, but I don't think I've used it. I have Nox. Now let me tell you the languages. Now Django and Flask both are frameworks of Python. Please take note. Laravel is a framework of PHP. The Express Nox, these are frameworks of JavaScript. Now there's also what we call Rails. Rails is a framework of Ruby. You get? So Ruby is the language, right? The Rails is the framework. That's why you get people call something like Ruby and Rails or Ruby on Rails. I think that's what they normally say. So these are examples of framework. So far so good. So far so good. How are you guys following? So let me get your feedback before I will know if I'll move forward or not. Please, is there any question? Is there any question? Please, if you have questions, just drop them on the chat as well. As the lecture is going on. And please, if you want to say something, say something. Maybe I've said something that is not correct, and you want to, give a suggestion or correct me. I'm open to corrections. Please say something. You get, we're all learning. Okay, no question. Okay, can you explain the backend framework again, please? Like I said frameworks give you a structure. Uh, uh, frameworks give you a particular structure you follow whenever you are building an application. And these frameworks, they are built on a particular language. You get, for example, we have Python as a programming language. Now, there are some smart developers that already know about Python. Like, how will I put it? They know about Python. Let me say 90% of Python, 99% of Python. So these smart people, what do they do now? They know that, okay, fine, building a complete website with Python is very difficult. So let us come together and build a framework called Django, such that whenever you want to build your website, you don't need to start writing codes from scratch. You just make use of the framework. You get, there are pre-written codes that are there already. You only just to follow the structure and pattern, such that building your website will be easy. I don't know if you get it very well now. Who is this person that asked? Ife Oluwa. Ife Oluwa. You get it? Okay, I didn't hear from you again. So somebody is asking, uh, please, do you mean when? Okay, please, what do you mean when you say Node.js is the runtime? Now, good. When we say Node.js is the runtime, now initially, like I said, JavaScript. Let me just give you a brief history of JavaScript. JavaScript. Uh, There was a time that a particular browser called Netscape browser was very popular, just like the way we have Google Chrome browser now. You know, Google Chrome browser is the most popular kind of browser for now. Google Chrome, Firefox, and the rest. So there was a time Netscape browser was very popular. Like, it's the number one browser of the then programming and all of those stuff. Now, um, but the browser the developers of the browser or the owners, they said they want a language such that a user can interact with the client side of, how will I put it, with the client side of that browser, because that Netscape, I think Netscape, because that Netscape was, I think, running on Java also, because Java was the popular language as at then. You get. Now let me tell you something. So what they did was that they said, okay, we want to create a language such that users can interact with the browser side of this browser. You get, interact with the front end of this browser, do things like changing of themes, changing of color, and the rest of them. So they gave the task to an engineer, I think Brendan English, I can't really pronounce it. So that was the developer who developed JavaScript. Now, at first, the language was not called JavaScript, right? The language was called Mocha. Now, that Mocha, over time, the language was improved upon. So it was originally for front end. Now, as a method of mockery, like they are trying to, mock Java, or sorry, they were trying to mock JavaScript. So they now called that Mocha language JavaScript, just like they want to mimic Java. You get, that's why most people find it difficult to differentiate between Java and JavaScript. Most beginners, they will like, JavaScript is the same thing as Java, Java is the same thing as JavaScript, but then they will hear people say no, JavaScript and Java, they are very different, just like saying car and carpet, things like that. So JavaScript and Java, both of them are different. Again, JavaScript was for front end originally, right? I've even forgotten your question. Let me go back to the question again. Now, but as time goes on, JavaScript started gaining popularity and all of those stuff. Popularity because it can be used for front end development. So they were not like, okay, fine. Since this thing has a lot of sources, it has a huge sources and a huge community support. Let us make it so that JavaScript can also be used for backend. So that was what they did. So what they did was that they created Node.js as a runtime that runs on Google Chrome V8 engine. Let me put it that way. You know that if you install a language like Python, it will give you an interactive console, right? Let me look for an example. I don't think I can get an example now, but let me just type CMD. Is this CMD? Okay, command prompt. Now you can run Python in this environment. Can you see this window that just popped up? If I increase, you can run Python on this environment whenever you install Python. You get, but you can't run JavaScript on this environment. You get. The reason is because JavaScript was not originally a server-side language. So, in order for you to run any of those JavaScript commands on your terminal, you need a runtime of JavaScript, that is Node.js. So you need to install Node.js before you can do any of those commands on your terminal. You get? So Node.js is a runtime, it's a JavaScript runtime. It enables you so that we can run JavaScript on command line, terminals, and so on and so forth. Make use of command, install packages, and all of those things. You get? So please take note via the npm. So please take note. We'll get to all of this stuff later on. There are a lot of questions here. I think I've lost track of the question. Let me just go from okay, is React.js a framework or a library? React.js is a library. You get? It's a JavaScript library, but it's comparable to JavaScript frameworks like Angular and Vue. You get? Now, what's the difference between framework and library? Let me just point it out. Now, libraries, we know we all have libraries in our different schools. It's just a place whereby you go pull information and use them, right? So that's the same thing that also applied here in web development. Things like Bootstrap, those are libraries. All I need to do is just to include their CDN, go to Bootstrap, pull up a class and use it. Maybe container class, color classes, and all of those stuff. But a framework, like I said, it gives you a particular structure, a pattern to follow when you are doing your web development. I don't know if you get the difference now. So React.js is a JavaScript library, but it is comparable to a framework. So people will tend to call React a framework. Even me myself, I do call it a framework. So you can say it's a framework and also a library, but originally it's a library. So please take note of that. And it's created and owned and maintained by Facebook. Then what do you classify Laravel, Express, Node, Ruby, and Rails under? Those are server-side framework. Please take note of that. Server-side framework. So Laravel is a framework of PHP. Express is a framework. Express, Nux, those are framework of JavaScript. Then Ruby is a language. You get? Its framework is Rails. You get? Rails is a framework of Ruby. Please take note of that. Then someone is asking a question. I think this is the last question I will look at for now. Dialing back to encryption, you talk. The message content encrypted with keys on the recipient. Okay, I'm coming. Jesus, this thing keeps scrolling. Okay, going back to the encryption you talk, the message content is encrypted with a key that only recipient has access to. Is the key ever stored on the server or accessible by the platform itself? Now, let me just give a simple example. Different people, or there are different methods of doing this encryption stuff and so on and so forth. But here we'll teach you basic encryption. Now, when we say encryption, what do we mean? If I encrypt a password, is the password in the database or will it be sent to the database? Yes, it will be sent to the database. But can I see what is on the password? No. You get? So if I create my password using 12345 and that password is being encrypted on the database, what I will see OXYZ123QLPMN. So will I be able to know your password? No. I don't know if you get my point. Now, as that password is being retrieved back to the user's end, it is being decoded such that those long strings of character and symbol they are not transformed into your 12345 you made use of initially. I don't know if you get my point. So please take note of that. We can't go over everything. I can't go over every question. Is Next.js also considered as a backend framework? No, Next.js is a front end framework. Please take note of that. So let's move forward. Let's see. This is 12:50 already. This class is supposed to be 1 hour. Like I said, all what I've explained or all what I'm explaining now, you can use those ideas to get what is already on all of these parts just for you to read up on them. You get? So please take note. I don't know why I made this thing very long. So let's look at front end versus back end. So before I continue, are we together now? Can I proceed? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you too. Can I proceed? Okay, good. Thank you very much. So let's look at front end and back end. I have some pictures here for you guys to look and laugh at. Let me just bring out this picture. Now, we've all been to restaurant now, right? Now, when you go to a restaurant, you say, okay, is there a particular segment? So, please let's just continue, please. I will come back to questions again. Now, we've all been to a restaurant now, right? If you go to a restaurant, you make your orders via menus and all of those stuff, right? And your food will be delivered to you on your table. Is that also? Now, what just happened? That food, like those people you are seeing there that are serving you the food, let's just call that part front end aspect. You get? Why the kitchen where the cooking is being done, the where the fire is being made, the curry, the rice, and everything. So let's just call that part back end. I don't know if you get my point. Front end is the part of the website you see and interact with, like I said before. Right, back end is the part you don't see. You get, so let me put it that one. It runs the main logic. You remember, without those cooking, you can't get your food, right? Then also, there's a third guy there called API, but I don't think I will explain it now. I've already explained API. So let me just say the people that serve you the food, they are like your APIs. You get, APIs bring information from server to client. Don't worry, I don't want to, get this thing too confusing. But let me just give you some pictorial explanation that will make you laugh. If you look at this first picture, I don't know if you can see this picture. You notice that, let me make it big. If you look at this first picture, you notice that what this guy is seeing over here, he's seeing a beautiful lady, right? And that's like the front end. But at the back, look at what is there. We have something like a crocodile tail, and so on and so forth. So front end is the beautiful side, while back end is that ugly side that you are not seeing, but it's doing the main work. I don't know if you get my point. So that's one. Then I think this other picture best explains it. Oh, okay. This thing is not clear enough. So front end from this other picture is just like describing the part you see and interact with, while the back end is the main logic and all of those stuff. So let me just use this last picture. I think this will give us a clearer picture or a better understanding of what we're explaining. If you look at this picture, right? We said front end and back end, right? Then for front end, that's where we see web app or websites and mobile application, the part to see and interact with. Then for the back end now, we are seeing things like the server, the database, and the API, right? Now, what are examples of front end languages now? That's where we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? Take note. Okay, there's I think there's this Node.js symbol, but not actually Node.js. The reason is because I will perform some operations like the npm install this and all of that. I think that's why. But you can see other things like React, Angular, and all of those stuff in the front end part. You can classify them to this. You can add them to this classification. But for the back end, now what do we see? We see things like Python, C sharp, and all of those stuff, right? Then for databases, we things like SQL, Postgres, and all of those stuff. So please take note of that. So that's for that. So these pictures, I guess, the help us understand what front end and back end actually is, which I've been explaining since the beginning of the class. This guy is very funny. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that's for that. That's for that. So please take note of that. Then also, where am I? Or rather, where are we? So front-end development, when we talk about front-end development, we are concerned with the user interface and user experience. Now, I know some of us here are UI and UX designers. Now, what do we mean by those UI and UX? Now, when you design your UI design, or when you make your UI design, okay, user UI, UX, and all of this stuff, what you do is that you give them to a front-end developer, right? So what the front-end developer will do is that he or she will code that design into life, because what you did was that you were doing drag and drop. You see an icon, you drag it and drop it on Figma. See this one, drag it and drop it. So that's what you do. You are UI UX designer, you get. But the people that are actually coding it, they are front end developers, which take care of the UI UX in real life or in actual performance. Let me put it that way. So please take note of that. Take note of that. Then, like I said, front end talks about user interface and user experience. You get, like things like dark mode and light mode, pop-up boxes, and all of those stuff. Those are user experience, the activity or the feed, the interactivity you get on the website. While the user interface is talking about the beauty, the color, the arrangement, the layout, and all of those things. You get, so please take note. Then when we talk about back-end development now, you need to be familiar with server-side logic and database management. I guess I've already explained this before, server-side logic and database. So before we go further, or before we proceed, is there any question or any suggestion? I want to know if you are following. If you have a question, please drop. I'll be glad to answer your question. Please, questions pertaining to this class. Okay, 14 greetings, sir. Okay, what should I say? I'm sending back my greetings. So, is there any question before we go further? Okay. How many of these languages and frameworks are we to master to be a good developer? Now, let me tell you something. You don't need to master 20 language or rather 20 languages to be a good developer. You get, one thing about programming is that understanding is the key concept of programming. All programming languages are the same in terms of logic. You get, the only difference you see in programming language is the syntax. So if you are learning a programming language right now, make sure you learn and master that programming language, the logic behind the programming language. You get? If you understand the logic, when you are learning another programming language, you don't need to stress yourself. All you need to do is just to learn the syntax of that language. Are we following? So please take note. So for now, just master the one you are learning. Master it. Master both the syntax and the logic, but pay more attention to the logic so that when you want to learn another programming language, you don't need to stress yourself. All right. There are some people that know 20 programming language, but they can't do anything. The reason is because they are focusing on syntax. Because it's not by syntax. The major thing here is the logic. They say, which backend framework are we using for this course? Okay, for this course now, what you have to learn, I think you guys are learning PHP and JavaScript as a language. Then for frameworks, you guys are learning Node.js and Laravel. So please take note of that. As time goes on, you see. Then which framework are we using for the backend course? Like I said, Laravel and Node Express. You get? I don't know. People tend to confuse it for each other. Let me just call it Node.js, but know what I'm talking about. You get? We are learning Node, you are learning Express together with it. That's the framework. Eh? So please take note. Learning Express.js. I don't know if you learn it because there's what we call core Node.js and Express. There's core Node.js programming. Like me, I don't think I'm really proficient in core Node.js. I prefer using the framework, right? So you guys will learn the core Node.js concept. That's what you learn. You learn the core Node.js. Then, if you are privileged to learn, or if you have the chance and the opportunity, you can as well go further to learn Express.js, which will make your Node.js very easy. Then, please, can you explain the place of sure? Please, we've not gotten to this part. um, when we start coding, you will see all of this stuff. Please take note. Okay, what's the? Jesus, we've not gotten to this part. Please, when we get there. So, is there any other question? Is there any other question? You guys are taking us off topic. So is there another question before I proceed? Or if I can proceed, just say something so that I will know.
You
Yeah,
can
before you
proceed, sir.
proceed, please.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank
Please,
you very
before
much.
you proceed, sir.
Please mute. You
Um,
said?
I said before you proceed, thank you for the one you've said so much. I
Who
want
is talking?
to.
Please, can you tell me your name so that I will know you?
Okay, I am impartial, smiling judge.
Okay. Please continue. The name is too long.
Okay, so we're told that for the two frameworks and languages, you must take just one. So if you're focusing on PHP, then it has to be a Laravel. Then if it is JavaScript, your framework has to be that Node.js and Express.js.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Like I said. Okay. Ask your question.
so which one is the best among the two? I already picked PHP, but
Okay, which
then
is the best? Okay, oh, okay. Now, if you want to learn a language, like me, I can't suggest for you. You get. If you want to learn a language, you go for there are certain things you look out for. What are the things? Things like the community support. You get the security and all of those stuff. Both Node.js and PHP both are good languages, like they are good things to learn. So I can't really pick for you. So you have to make your own research and take one of them. For me personally, or for let me say for most people, they like learning Node.js. The reason is because they've already gotten a foundation of front end development. Are we following? So if you want to learn Node.js, it's still the same JavaScript they are using. So no need to learn another language first. I don't know if you get my point. So
yes.
that's the route for some people. In fact, initially that was my route. After learning front end, I started with Node.js. The reason is because it's the same JavaScript for front end and back end and everything. But as time goes on, I started learning PHP, Python, and all of those stuff for versatility. Let me just put it that way. You know what companies are looking for? They are looking for um, someone with more skill and all of those stuff. But both of them are good. If you can learn both, it's fine. But for now, focus on one. So, is there any other question before we proceed? Wait, just to confirm, are we learning more
Thank
than
you.
one backend technologies? Like the ones you have to learn for this program, I think is PHP and Node.js. I think you need to learn it too. I don't know, or maybe I will ask the coordinator. I think that was what you guys are learning. Or I don't know if you guys have to pick one or the other, but I think you're supposed to learn it too for a period of 3 months.
No, he
But I
told
will
us to
ask.
pick one.
Okay, you guys have to pick one.
Yes, that you cannot be
Oh, okay,
certificate
okay,
on
okay,
both.
okay, 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 no problem. So just go with any of them. Whichever one you pick, success. You can as well reach out to your tutors for for help and all of this stuff. So let's continue. We've spent a lot of time there. Let's look at okay, let me go back to this one. Let's look at okay, we've looked at front end and back end, right? So let's look at real world examples of backend functionalities. Now, real world examples of backend functionality includes user authentication and authorization. Like I said before, you want to be able to come to a website and log in and all of those stuff. So this will lead us to this question: what's the difference between authentication and authorization? If you're lower, please don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that you should learn front end before back end. You get, even if I'm suggesting that, it's a good suggestion because after front end, when you're learning back end, it'll be very easy, and it will be easy to follow along with and all of those things. You get, but that's not what I'm suggesting. And like I said for most people, they normally learn front end, and for front end, JavaScript is a must. So if they want to pick between PHP and Node, they will pick Node over PHP. The reason is because they've already learned JavaScript, so learning Node.js will be easier rather than learning another programming language. I don't know if you get my point. So that was what I was explaining. So, like I said, I want to give you the difference between authentication and authorization, right? Now, what's authentication and what's authorization? Now, when you are trying to log into a website, what you are doing is that you are performing an authentication activity. Let me put it that way. You get, authentication simply means how will I put it? Going into an application, right? Let me say going into an application based on information that was already saved before. You get, when I try to authenticate, what will happen is that there will be a search on the database if that information already exists. If it exists, what will happen? It will allow me, right? But if it doesn't exist, what will happen? It won't allow me. So that's authentication, logging in and logging out and all of this stuff. So please take note of that. Then when we talk about authorization now simply means accessing certain routes. I don't know if you get my point. Now, let me put it this way. Let me give you an explanation that will make you understand authentication and authorization, right? Now, if for instance you see a random link, let me say that's a tweet of a post, and you click on that link on a browser in which your information was not logged in before, what will happen? You notice that you can be able to view the post, see the numbers of people that have commented on that post, see the likes of that post, see all the comments and all of those stuff. But if you try to like the tweet, what will happen? It won't allow you. You get, if you try to comment, it will allow you to tell you to log in first. You get, that's to say you need to be authenticated before you can perform some certain activity. Are we following? So what will happen? To prompt you to log in. In fact, some websites, when you try to perform an action, it will prompt you to log in first. I think I did something like that on this website. Let me just show you an example. If I come to full I did something like that on this website. Now see what is happening. Can you guys see this screen? If I click on this, and I click on this, watch what is happening. You see what is happening? It's taking me back to this page that I should log in first before I can view that product. Are you following? So that's an example of what? Authentication. You get, so by the time I log in, I'll be able to view that page. You get, now I'm okay, I'm logged in. Now if I click on it again, right? Then I click on view product. I can be able to see the product. I can now add it to cart. Are you following? So please take note of that. So it has been added to cart. Then we'll talk about authorization now. This is an admin account. If I come to the dashboard, this is what I'm getting. I'm seeing dashboard, orders, which is all the order. Sorry, this is my particular like order of this particular user. I'm seeing all orders of this website, like all the orders that have been carried out and all of those things. But if I log in as a normal user, I won't have access to this admin page. That's what we now call authorization. Authorization now simply means protecting certain page such that certain people cannot be able to access it. You get up protecting certain page such that before you can access it, you meet a certain criteria. Let me just put it that way. So you can look for other definitions and all of those things to back it up. So authorization, authentication simply means Who is this person? Authentication simply means you need to log in first before you can do something. While authorization, you are logged in, fine, but do you have access to go to this place? No. Now let me give you an example. If you are in a WhatsApp group, or rather if you are not in a WhatsApp group, can you send message on that group? No, you can't send message on the group, right? In fact, your message box won't appear. That's because you are not authenticated or you are not authorized to that group. But by the time you are in that group, you can send message, right? You can send messages. But if the admin of that group decides to lock the chat, will you be able to send message? No, you can't send the message. So that's authorization. That admin has how will I put it? It has some certain functionalities, or there are some certain page that admin will be able to access, but you as a normal user you can't access it. So please, let's see it that way. Like Facebook, for instance, they have a place whereby they can see all your information and all of those things. This is because they have the access to go to that route, but you are not authorized to go to that route. Please take note. So let's look at the next thing there. Data storage and retrieval, like I said, for data for a backend development, data storage and retrieval is one of the real life examples you get, because when I log in, when I register to a website for the first time, whenever I'm coming back, I don't want to register again. I want to be able to retrieve my information such that I can now use those information to log into that website. That's what I mean by data storage of data. When I add item to cart, it won't be a nice experience when I log out and log in again, then see that the item that was added to cart was not there. You get? So please take note. But if, for instance, there is a storage functionality, what will happen when I add my item to cart? That item will be stored such that when I log in again, I can be able to see that item and make a purchase of the item. So please take note of that. So the other real life example is content management system, right? So when we say content management system, there are okay, real life example. Now you've heard of WordPress now, right? You've heard of WordPress. Now, when we say content management system, they give us the ability to
Jimmy, or God bless. What's happening now? Is it that God bless is no longer on the call? Probably network issues.
Yeah, I think he's experiencing some network issues from his own end. Let's just probably wait for some, let's say 5 minutes and see if he'll be able to join. Oh, okay. I think, does anyone have his know his account on Slack so that one can chat him up to know what's happening?
What happened? I noticed that I couldn't see anybody on the call before. So were you guys following?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
we
welcome back.
lost you. We thought we
Welcome
lost you.
back.
Okay. I noticed I didn't see anybody, so I went to the Slack channel and dropped the text. Well, yeah, I am.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yes,
let's
I was
continue. I
about to
don't know
go
what
to Slack
happened.
channel too. Okay.
Nigeria has happened. Okay, let's continue. So that's for that. So let's try and round up. This is already past one. When a class is becoming too long, it will tend to be it will be boring. Let me just put it that way. So let me just um okay, let me see. So let's just go. So that's for that. Then talk about backend terminologies and tools. Like we've talked about the database and the rest of them. We've also talked about this one, server-side program. Like I said, some of the things here have been repeated, right? We've talked about API, but I didn't really talk about it very, very well. You get, but later on we'll look at it. So let's just hurry up because of time. Then one important thing to know about is Git, right? Git, also called version control system. Now, I think it's on your course outline now, the general course outline. So Git is something that every developer should know, right? Now, when we say version control, what do we mean? Git enables it such that there can be continuous development and deployment of a website. Now, let me give you a scenario. Like, if I give you this example, we must understand what Git is. Let me just tell you, I'll show you. Now, let's take for instance now, you develop a website for a client for the very first time. Like, you don't know about Git and GitHub at first, you develop a website. Now, what you notice that client will come back again and ask you to, okay, at the end of the class, no problem, you ask. Now, you notice that client will ask you to change something, maybe the color of the button or so on and so forth. What will happen? You go back and edit your website, right? Then after doing that, submit the website to the client again. He or she will say, edit this one. No, I don't like this color. I don't like this picture. Then that will continue for like 12 times or 5 times or 8 times, as the case may be. Then after all of those changes and all of those things, the client will tell you to give he or she the original design you made at first, or the original website you gave to him at first. Now, what has happened? You notice that you'll be very angry, like you'll be annoyed. You spent a lot of time, you've made a lot of edits and so on and so forth. Then the client is still telling you to give he or she back that um, Jesus, what's happening? Okay, I think my Wi-Fi is playing with me. So let's just continue. You notice that the client you'll be very angry. You get, so what will happen is that you start thinking of the initial design you made and all of those stuff. Now you okay. Now what just happened? You've succeeded in wasting time and energy, right? Now the concept of programming is such that you can work smartly. You get. Now another case would be like this. After this experience, eh, if you get another job or if you're asked to build another website by another client, based on this past experience, what you do is that you notice that after building the first website and submitting to the client will say, edit this thing for me. Then you start doing copy and paste, right? You paste the whole project of how many MB. Then after copying and pasting, the client will come again and say, okay, I don't like this. You copy and paste again, right? You copy and paste. Let me say will repeat itself for like 10 times and so on and so forth. This will repeat itself for 10 times. Now, what just happened? If the client comes back and say he or she wants the initial design you made for him, you don't need to stress yourself. All you need to do is just to go back to that first folder and submit it to the client. Okay. I'm sharing my screen now. I'm sharing it now. Hope you guys can hear me. Okay, I believe you guys can hear me. Now you notice that
Yeah.
you succeeded in solving a problem because now, man, you don't need to stress yourself. When the client comes back, you just to look for that one you made at first, that particular folder, then give it to the client. You can even charge them more. You get. Now you succeeded in solving the problem, but there's still a problem. Now, what's the problem? The problem is that there's now a poor management of memory. You get. Now you are copying and pasting a folder of a full project, right? Now, what is happening is that there's like a waste in memory in the space of your computer. I don't know if you get my point. So that's the disadvantage of copying and pasting a whole project, right? Now, the solution to all of this problem is Git and GitHub, right? Or let me simply put version control. Now, version control makes it such that if I build a website for a client and that client comes back to edit the website, I don't need to copy and paste my work. All I need to do is just to make a particular commit after editing the work, then send the show the project to the client again. If he or she okay, somebody is saying, what did you miss? The internet is very frustrating. If he or she comes back again, please let me know if you guys are still following. Are we still here? Let me know.
Yes.
Okay. So we are getting the explanation. So now for Git, now like I said, if you create a website for a client, you can make different changes to that website without copying and pasting. You get, such that when the client comes back for the initial one you made, it's just to go back to that commit and redeploy that one for the client. Now, Git makes it sure that your work is fast and efficient, and also you don't need to copy and paste. There is no waste in space of memory of your computer, and so on and so forth. And also, with Git, when Git is combined with GitHub, you can do collaboration, right? So Git has a lot of uses. Now, one of the uses that with the help of Git and GitHub, I don't need to start. Maybe I want to change my device. I don't need to start copying all my projects and saving them to a drive. You get, all I need to do is just remember my login and password. Then I'll use it to log into my GitHub account on another device. Then I will get access to all my projects that are being saved to GitHub. You get, so please take note, take note, take note. So Git and GitHub, they are also essential tools for collaboration, right? 20 people can work on a project with the help of Git and GitHub. So like I said, Git and GitHub, they are very important. So it enables access to continuous integration and continuous deployment or development. So take note of those stuff. Now, when we say continuous development, when you build a website for a client, the client will come for updates. What will happen is that you work on the website again and redeploy and so on and so forth. Git makes it so that you can make all of those changes without the client noticing. Yeah, so please take note of that. So version control. There are different type of version control. There's Git, there's Subversion, Mercury, or so on and so forth. I can't really remember. Then for servers that are used to store information, I think servers that works together with Git, there are different ones. I think I have GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, and so on and so forth. There are lots of them, so please take note of that. Then, what are the best practices in the backend development? Like I said, we want a situation whereby our database is secured, right? So one of the best practices is security measures and data protection. Then also scalability and optimization. We want a situation whereby the website is scalable and is also fast. You get, that's what we mean by performance optimization. Then also when you are building a website as a backend developer, you also want a code documentation, right? And also maintenance of the code. When I say code documentation, what do I mean? I want a situation whereby in 5 years' time, if I come back to that code, I will be able to understand what I wrote there. Or if I create a program for an organization, and in 5 years' time, I'm no longer in that organization, I want a situation whereby the next programmer that is coming in will be able to understand what I did. You get, that's what I mean by documentation and maintenance. Then also testing and debugging. You want a situation whereby the website is well tested and debugged, the process of removing errors from a program. So please take it. Then now we also look at case studies and practical application. So these are like things you guys are expected to we're expecting from you guys, things that you guys are supposed to know. You guys are supposed to know how to build the user authentication system, also develop the backend of an e-commerce platform. All right. So I'm trying to round up. Let's say by 140 or 130 we'll be out of here. Then also practical exercise for back-end development skills. So these are things you guys will, tend to learn later on and so on and so forth. Then now let's look at the future trends in back-end development. What's the future? You get, remember, these things has a future, or there's a trend that's coming, or there's a particular trend that is reigning that everybody wants to know. Now the future of web development is you guys of course know one of them is AI, right? Web3 and so on and so forth. So we have things like cloud computation and serverless architectures as well. So things like that. So those are the features of backend development. microservices and containerization, things like Docker, Nginx, and all of this stuff. Then also artificial intelligence and machine learning integration to backend system, right? One is to show whereby please, are we all seeing my text? Let me ask. Are we all seeing my text?
Yes, we are.
Then someone is saying, please check who you are sending messages
No, we
to.
are not seeing
We
your
are not
text.
seeing
You're
your
sending
text.
as
We
a
are not.
direct message to someone.
We're not seeing your
Oh,
text at all.
I'm sorry. I'm
Change the
sorry.
name to chat.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not really writing any important thing. It's just are we still here? GitHub, GitLab. The same thing I'm saying. That's what I'm writing down. But please just bear with me. The class is almost over, right? Then now, like I said, these are the future trend in backend development. Now, everybody that are learning backend development or programming per se, they want to know things about AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and how to integrate them to websites, right? Then also things like real-time information, GPS, Google Map integrated to website for tracking and things like that. Those are some of the future trends in backend development. Then, in conclusion, uh, okay, we've already explained all of this. So, my conclusion is summary of all the concept, the importance, encouragement for further learning, questions and answer. So, before we go, is there any question? Is there any question? If you have a question, please ask. Let me just answer before we call it a day. Is there any question?
Please, can I ask a
Yeah.
question for the assignment?
Okay, based on the assignment.
Okay,
Okay, go.
I was checking the assignment based on the instruction.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said we should do the language and the frameworks. That's two
Yes.
different lists, right? But based on the example that they gave on how to answer the question, they gave one format. So my question now is, for each list, are we going to title it back end languages, then do the A, B, C, D, E, and then frameworks A, B, C, D, E, and then the
No, let me
student
let me
ID?
explain. You are in backend track. So I think the assignment was five backend framework and their explanation, right? Was that not the question?
Languages and frameworks.
Okay, five backend languages and framework. You get. So what you are supposed to
Yeah.
do is to write number one, Python as a backend language. You get. Or let me just put it number. Let me just do like number one. Let me just say Python. You note it the language. You get. Then the framework. You get. Then you can say something like I'm sorry, something like this. Python language framework, the particular framework, which is, let me just say, for instance, Django now. Then what you are supposed to explain is not the Python. You are not supposed to explain the Django. What is the Django used for? Like, example, Django is a Python web framework that is used for this and this and this and this. And so something like that. Are you following?
Okay, so we are
So
explaining the framework.
yes, the framework actually, but you state its language. You get so that we know that okay, you know that that um framework is under this programming language. I don't know if you get my point.
Okay.
Okay, is there any other question before we proceed? Questions before we go. Questions before we go. Is there any question? Is there any question? Who else have a question? So we have like 5 minutes for question and answer. Please, how long is the class supposed to last? I think it's supposed to be a 1 hour class. It's supposed to be 1 hour. Huh? But because of the network and all of this stuff, remember Nigeria time is not the same as 1 hour cannot be 1 hour. You get we have to wait for some people
Hello,
to.
please. Hello, please. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Please, can you come again with how to answer the assignment?
Okay, let me
You
give you
said
it
we
again.
should just list. Mm,
No, not just listing. What you do, like, let's say number one now, you do something like language. You get then state the particular
okay.
language. What is this language now? Maybe you want
Okay.
to talk about JavaScript. Okay, well, let me just not confuse you guys. Now we are dealing with server side alone. Don't list client side language. Example of a client side language, a server side language is Python. You get. Then you will now talk about the
Okay.
framework you want to explain. List it like this framework. Let me see Django. Now, what you are explaining is the Django, not the Python. Actually, we just want you to know if you know that Django is a framework of Python. You get, so what you're actually
Okay.
explaining is the Django you explain. An example is Django is a Python web framework that is used for web development, and it can do this and this and this and that. Just give you explanation of Django. You get, so number two, follow the same process. List the language, then the framework, and explain the framework. Something like that.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. Thank you very much.
I just checked again, yeah, and then how it was like the example that they gave on the LMS, they wrote l- A language one, B language two, C framework one. So like they mix it up, like it could be, I think we're supposed to like write from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J or something, and
No, no,
then
no, 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 it's not supposed to be like that. No, it's not supposed to be like that. You get, I'm coming. Let me just check it. Let me just confirm. But it's not supposed to be like that. This is the way you are supposed to answer it. What I just explained. We don't want you to explain the language. It's not the language we are looking for. You get, it's the framework explanation. But we want to know if you know the particular language that has that framework. I don't know if you get my point. That's why I say this is how you answer it. Let's say A or number one. Okay, they use A on the LMS. So if it's A, they say you should use, just say A now. Language, Python framework. Explain the Django framework. Then go to the B. Then list the language. Then explain the framework. You get, list the language, list the framework, and explain.
Okay, I'm
Are you
just saying
following?
so that we'll not come and say one kind score after because of
No,
based on
don't
what we
worry. This
answered.
is what I said you should do. So this is what you should do. Are we following? So please pass the information to others as you're not in the class. Eh? What the assignment is saying is that you should list and explain 5 backend, right? 5 backend framework. Is that not so?
List
So
and
that's
explain
it.
for backend languages and frameworks.
Let me
That
see.
way,
Let me see. I'm coming. Where's the PC? Coming, coming. Okay, let me check assignment. I'm coming. Okay. Uh, okay, this is it. Okay, so this is it now. They say your list should contain at least 5 items. Each item marked with an open bracket, alphabetical, and including by, for example, on this A or sequence item. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Now I see what is here. Number one. Hmm? I'm coming. List and explain 5 back-end languages and framework. Okay, your list should contain at least 5 items. Each item is marked with an open bracket, with an inclusive bracket. For example, your list of first items start with E. Uh, Explanation of each language of framework. Yes, yes, now it's correct. What I explained is correct. You get, these are just instructions on how you go. Like what they said now, when you see A, you list it and explain it. You get, just like I explained to you guys. So this is the pattern you are following. So we are together.
okay, did you see the example?
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. So this is how you do it. Just
Languages.
for clarity and everything. We are not concerned, or like we don't need how would I put it? We don't need much talk from you guys. We just want to make sure that you guys understand what we are doing. You get, so A language Python, then framework Django. So you have to explain only the framework. Leave the language. I will talk to the coordinator to reduce the stress and everything.
All right.
You get, because a particular language can have 3 framework and you want to list those framework. Are you not expected to explain that particular language 3 times again? No, no need. Just know the language, and this is the framework explanation we're looking for. You get. So let me just. Okay, I'm not sharing my screen.
All right, but please talk to them also so that they know and
Okay.
they don't get.
Excuse me. All right. So this is what you're supposed to do. Then let me also drop it on the back end channel so that you guys will so that everybody can see it. Pattern of the assignment solution. Hmm? So let me just paste it like this. So you say language, then language, right? Then framework, then framework. Work. Then for your explanation, then you give explanation. See, you get. Then after you go for E, you go for. So do we understand now? So I believe we all understand. Or we understand.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
I
okay,
understand what you're saying. Thank you.
okay, okay. So is there any other question before I go? I think my time is up.
Please, what's the question?
Please, you guys should mute your mic now.
Okay.
Who is playing music?
I think that's zero. Oh,
Please, you guys should mute your mic.
Okay, I have
So
a
is there any
question.
other question before we go?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. For those of us that do not have the tools for backend, like the framework now on our system, how do we, would there be any guide to download it? Or I don't know.
Yes, yes. Like you can see what I just did now, all throughout this class, there was no coding at all. It was just explanation based. You get so when we're about to start the coding, you'll be instructed on what to install and what to download. You get and as well as the setup. Are you following?
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so no problem.
Thank you.
So is there any other question before I go?
Sorry, I have a question. It's a bit
Okay,
different from the class though. So
okay.
I actually have a 9 to 5, and
All right,
I was lucky to catch the class. I mean,
all
I
right.
just checked my LMS around around 11. Then I knew there was a class for 11:50. So my question is, uh, if you are not able to be live in class, I hope there's no penalty, so long as you're able to go back and watch the videos. I just wanted to
Yes.
ask.
Yes. In fact, let me just tell you something that will be surprising to you. No, I don't want to say this thing. Let me just I don't want to say it. But if you miss a class, there's no penalty.
Yes.
The most important thing is that make sure you do your assignment because all of the classes will be recorded because you can always go back
Okay.
and play them. And if you check the
Okay.
what's it called, the Zuri YouTube page, you will see most of the videos from this class. I don't know if you get my point from previous
Yes, I
quote or
do.
past.
I do. I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. But just make sure that you try as much as possible to follow. The reason for class is
All
such
right.
that you can get guidance on how to maybe go about your assignment, then any particular
Okay.
questions you're having, and for newbies also. You get
Okay. All right.
okay.
All
So
right. Thank you so much.
yeah, I appreciate it. So, I think this will be all for now. This will be all for now. And also, you guys can do well to, follow me on social media. I will follow back. Let's try to, build connections and so on and so forth. And as well, I have a YouTube channel whereby some of the topics that you guys will do, like things like GitHub or basic JavaScript and some of those stuff. I've already done them on my own channel. You get so if you wish to, learn from my channel, you can do. Also on the Zuri YouTube page, these topics are also there. These courses are also there as well. So if you wish to learn from the Zuri page as well, you can do that. But also you can support me by subscribing to my YouTube channel. I will appreciate it a lot. I will really appreciate it. So let me just drop the link here for those that want. I'll also drop it on the channel as well. So this is my YouTube link. Then for social media, don't worry, you guys can always send a DM. Or I will also drop it, or I will drop it on the channel as well. So please take note of that. So I wish you guys success. Please don't
Can
be
you change
pressured.
your hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You're actually sending it to only Alexander. You should change it to the meeting group chat so everyone can say.
Okay, I've sent it to this meeting group chat.
no,
It's
just
here now.
click on Alexander Emmanuel. That
I
name,
should
where
click
you
on
see two beside
Alexander.
directly in the text field. In the text field.
Okay, okay, I should click on it.
No, the text field. You see to Alexander Emmanuel. Go down, down, down.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
No, your cursor, put it down.
Uh,
Yes, exactly. That
okay, so
one.
I should paste it here.
No, click on that Alexander Emmanuel. You just hovered on it now.
Okay, I should click on it. I've done that.
Yes. Then see meeting group chat, the first name there.
Oh, 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 oh.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. I've learned something from you guys. I'm not actually
Okay.
very familiar with this Zoom and so on and so forth. In fact, while I was in school, whenever we have Zoom class, I always miss the class. I always skip the class and all of this stuff. I don't have that strength and those energy. But if you run from something today, you meet it at the front. So you get so that's what's happening to me. I'm paying for my past sins. But I'm well familiar with Google, what's it called? Google Meets and so on and so forth. That's what I like. In fact, there was a time I missed an interview because I could not use Microsoft Teams. Again, so thank you very much. Was this Ife Oluwa? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So
You're
I also
welcome.
dropped text on I also dropped text on this Slack. All right, thank you very much. In fact, I had to, watch a video on how to use Zoom before starting this class, and I was happy everything went well. That was what I was asking. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Please say something. All right, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Do your assignment. Don't be pressured. Always make sure you calm down. And if you don't understand anything, don't be intimidated. Try to ask your peers or ask any of the tutors. I wish you guys the best. Take care. See you all.